Hey guys, Silverchord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Horsemen Studios Mythic Legions Illythia Wave, Artemyss Silverchord 2.0, and Alder. Now before we get into it here, let's first take a look-see at both the front and the back of the packaging. So without further ado, let's get into it. And before we get into the meat and taters of this review, Artemyss 2.0 comes with a few accessories, not a ton outside of what she's already got on her person. But first up is this little short sword here, almost a dagger, especially to like an ogre or a brute scale or something like that. But she does come with this. Nowhere to really put it on the figure though. She also comes with a quiver of arrows. Now, I'm pretty sure this is the one she came with. I kind of mixed hers up with Lord Bardrick's by accident. So if it is not the correct one, please let me know in the comments and I will swap them out. Bardrick will, however, have hers if this isn't the right one in the review I'll be posting in a couple of days. So keep that in mind. And also, she came with a loose arrow, but I didn't want to lose those, so those are already packed away, hers and Bardrick's. That said, she of course comes with the Zylonian bow, because what is a quiver of arrows without a bow to shoot them, right? And this is of course made out of a couple of deer antlers that have been wrapped together. These wraps in the middle here, which is odd because I figured being a member of the Woodland Critters clan, aka Zylona's Flock, this would be illegal AF, but yet she's wearing all kinds of little deer skulls, and her bow is made out of the antlers of what I can only assume is a dead deer. I'm not sure how well received that will be by Zylona herself, but we don't have her to worry about because I didn't buy that figure. So, with that being said, let's actually lay Artemyss down for a minute and set Alder off to the side. You gotta watch the whole video, I'm sorry. But you're gonna have to wait like everyone else. So, taking a closer look at Artemyss 2.0. Haven't seen a lot of reviews on this figure, probably because most people bought this wave for the vampires, because unlike Illythia's Brood, Zylona's Flock's pretty fleshed out. We had quite a few characters in that faction already, but Illythia's Brood, not so much. At least not ones that were easily obtainable. Carpathius, I'm looking at you. But with that being said, this is a really, really nice and well done figure of Artemyss in a more battle-ready look. Looks like she's ready to go kick some butt on the battlefield, whereas the other one, which my dad actually has, was more of a coronation getup. More ceremonial, a little bit less kick butt than this. So, you know, pick your poison, but I prefer this. I think this is better. I think this is cooler. And I look forward to getting more variants in this line, especially if they're like this and are a little bit more playable than their previous counterparts. Can't say that's the same for Baron Voliger too, who's also in this wave. This is a little bit more of a step into the ceremonial, more laid back, kind of gussied up look as far as that goes. But we do have the Baron Voliger that's just more of a knight, so you could easily use that as a legion builder. But we'll talk about that soon enough. But with that being said, I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet because I know why you're all here. He's waiting for his debut off camera here. But her head can rotate, look up and down a little bit. She's got a really awesome hair sculpt on the back. Look at those braids. My dad was actually the one that commented on that before, because look at all the freaking detail you're getting in that hair sculpt there. For, is it $37 now? But I paid $35 for this because it was before the $2 price hike. Just ridiculous. Like, Marvel Legends can eat poop for that. Not to mention she does have a skull back there too. And the antlers on her head kind of wrap around it like a crown. Look really nice as well. She also looks more determined to whip someone's butt. Now, she has a bear arm and a armored arm, which is a nice little contrast. And you can, of course, move these up to the side. Be careful, you don't want to stretch anything out, but it can be done. They can rotate. Really tight joints on the arms. Single hinge at the elbow with rotation. She's got a gauntlet swivel, as well as a rotation in the wrist with a hinge. She does have articulated wings, for lack of a better term. They do just kind of rotate up like this. Nothing crazy, but they do move a little bit. So you can get a little bit out of those. I think they're meant to be folded up, if anything, so don't expect a ton out of that. She does have a diaphragm joint here, which does actually get quite a bit of range. I move those up and out of the way. It does get quite a bit of range, but it is kind of loose. Not in a bad way. I guess it's just meant to be butter smooth, but you can get quite a bit of range out of that. She does also have a waist swivel that works okay. Unlike Illythia, she's not falling apart, but unlike Illythia also, I don't have anything blocking the little notch for her belt piece to plug into. So that's probably got something to do with that, right? That said, much like Illythia though, if I can get her straightened out here, it's kind of a pain in the tuchus. She also has no ass. I mean, I think it's safe to say that most Mythic Legions figures don't have an ass, but she also doesn't have an ass. Could use a little bit more junk in the trunk there, guys. That said, her hips can kick forward and back. They can kick out to the side quite well. Feels like she's got bare legs. I thought they were armored at first, but they feel bare to me. So that's interesting. She does have a thigh cut, a single joint at the knee, as well as a hinge in the foot with rotation, rocker, and peg holes at the bottom of the feet for a display stand if you need it. These figures tend to stand alright, but I always find that the McFarlane stands, particularly the ones with DC Multiverse, mostly because that's the ones I got the most of, let's be honest here, work the best with these. But as you can see, she can stand up just fine. Unlike Illythia, though, she doesn't have 4 arms sticking out of her back. So, getting her out the way, let's talk about the man of the hour here. The infamous Moose himself, Alder. Now, funny story. I'm going to get into this because we were relatively quick with Artemyss there. Let me see if I can pan this up a little bit more. No, that's as far as it's going to go. Alright. That's disappointing, but hopefully you can see his noggin there. It's right there. But funny story about this figure. I know a lot of people were looking forward to this because it was a Moose figure in 1/12 scale, which warranted, you know, that's pretty awesome. Can't say I thought we'd ever get a Moose in this scale. I figured if anything we'd get like wolves, bears, eagles, stuff like that, you know? Which we have. We got the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure last year from Marvel Legends. We got Timber from G.I. Joe Classified Series, as well as Freedom, the Eagle from Spirit Iron Knife in G.I. Joe Classified Series as well. But never before did I ever think we'd get a Moose. And the reason I am a little bit more excited about this than I probably should be is because back when I was going to college and my dad had to drive my mom to work, there was a bar out of town by a crossroad section, you know, an intersection, that had a fiberglass moose statue. And one day, you know, it was starting to snow, it was the beginning of winter here, my dad ran the freaking stop sign because he was looking at this moose statue. It's a statue, it's made of fiberglass, or whatever you want to call it, but it's just the funniest thing, because my mom and I are like, the heck is wrong with you? You're so freaking stupid for doing that. And he's just like, I was looking at the freaking moose. So, from then on, we always tease him in saying that he's watching the moose, and the rest is history. So, that's why I was looking forward to this figure, because if anything, maybe look forward to a montage this holiday season of this moose staring at my dad doing random things throughout our house. It will be a glorious day, and I'm sure my aunt is looking forward to that more so than anybody, because she, along with myself and my mom, thinks it's the funniest thing ever. But Overlord's life story aside, this thing is freaking gorgeous. Unfortunately, I do have a little qualm with my particular figure, and the fact that his head is too freaking loose and has a tendency to pop off. That said, it is staying in place for right now, and I'm not going to move it. You already know what you're getting with the horses, because let's face it, this is a glorified horse. It's got horse body with moose parts on it, particularly the lower legs here. These are very moose-like in nature. Right down to the hooves. I think it's mostly the lower legs, the hooves, the tail back here, which is still articulated with a ball hinge, or a hinge swivel, which is pretty sweet considering it's such a tiny freaking piece that I might have just popped out a little bit. No, I did. Okay. That's a thing. He's also got the moose neck, the moose kind of neck piece, and of course the infamous moose head with the antlers, which Pagan, pretty solid. I've got no qualms with that. Those are nice and tight. I will say the reins have a tendency to pop out of his muzzle here. That's what you want to call it. That said, unlike my Illythia, however, if we flip him around, or Phobos, from the Illythia 2-pack, haha, I saved myself. He's got all 4 little loop-de-loops on his saddle. So I can only assume this is a separate glued-on piece, but for those of you not familiar with the horse figure, the legs can kick forward and back. Again, I'm not going to touch the head, but you got a double all peg up here and a double ball peg down here. That worked pretty well. It's more of a ball peg and a peg. Not really a double ball peg, but it does work. But you can kick the legs forward and back in the front here. Does have a swivel up at the quote-unquote bicep. If I can get one to bend, he's got a single bend at the first knee here. Trying to get that to bend is a pain in the nuts. Okay. I'm not going to push that anymore. But it does have a single bend right there. That first knee. Yeah, those are nice tight joints. I love that. He does have a swivel at the knee. And then his hooves can hinge and swivel as well. Sorry, I'm doing my best not to knock the head off of this thing, because it's kind of a pain in the nougats to get back on. That said, his hips are detented more so than the other ones, probably because of the weight in the front here. They can kick out, they can kick back down. Does have a hinge here, a swivel here, a hinge here, which also is super tight. Yeah. And then his hooves in the back also swivel and hinge, but again, you know how tight the joints are. I'm not gonna manhandle it too much. I don't want to knock his head off, and you already saw the tail. It's on a disc hinge as well. I guess that's what that's called, right? A disc hinge. But yeah, that's the moose. Alder, it's great. It's a moose figure. Is it top 10 of the year? I mean, it's top 10 in regards to the fact that it's a freaking moose, but as far as being my favorite figure out of this wave, absolutely not. It's cumbersome. Its head's loose. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's something we're all willing to deal with, I'm sure, because again, it's a freaking moose in 1/12 scale. So I'm putting the Artemyss back in here. A nice little duo, I'll say. And a nice little value per dollar, at least as far as my reviews go, because you get a twofer. You don't have to wait for me to post an Artemyss review now. You got them both in the same video. So, with that being said, I think it is now time that we move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is Artemyss Silverchord 2.0 next to the only other quote-unquote basic, and I use that term loosely, figure I've already taken a look at from the Mythic Legion's Illythia wave, the goddess of the night herself, Illythia, the horsewoman of famine over there. Again, not so much a basic figure, but as far as the size goes, she is technically considered a basic figure, as well as the only other elf character that I currently have in my Mythic Legion's collection, Lord Bardrick, at least as far as I know. I don't think I have any more elves at this current time anyways. That will change soon enough, but as you can see, Artemyss scales, you know, typical for this line. She is a female figure. Most of the female figures are relatively the same height. Even Illythia over there with her big arse hat is technically still the same height as Artemyss here. That said, I wouldn't mind seeing some maybe teenage bucks in this line, some slightly shorter female and male bodies to represent younger characters, more youthful characters. I think that would be a step in the right direction for the Horsemen, but who am I to tell them what to do, right? Next up here is Alder alongside both Balius and the only other steed I've already taken a look at from the Mythic Legion's Illythia wave, Phobos, and as you can see, Alder's antlers alone make him very large and in charge. He is literally pushing these two off screen as I am trying to compare them to him. So while I am happy to be adding a moose to the Overlord Zoo, I'm going to need a bigger pen to put him in. And last, but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, Limit Spawn, who's not turning over everyone today because while he may edge out Artemyss Silverchord 2.0 just a smidge, he sure as heck ain't no moose. So with that being said, time to wrap things up, some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the slightly loose head on my Alder that has a tendency to fall off from time to time, because of course it does, it's mine after all. I'm sure I'll get that fixed at some point. I do really like both Alder and Artemyss 2.0. I think this is a really awesome, epic, bombastic, and very cumbersome setup. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a pain in the tuchus trying to find a place to properly display these two, Alder more so than Artemyss. She's just kind of a passenger at this point because the main attraction and probably the main reason you watch this review in the first place is for the infamous, the amazing, the awesome Alder the Moose. Not gonna lie, been really looking forward to the Moose. Just the fact that we have a freaking Moose action figure in 1/12 scale, for better or for worse, is amazing. That said, where the Sam heck are we gonna put it? 4 Horsemen, I love you guys, but dang it if your stuff doesn't take up an incredible amount of real estate. Like, holy crap. But if you are like me and you like Mythic Legions, these are two definite must-haves. I think this Artemyss is a little bit more fun than the previous one, which was meant to be a little bit more of a ceremonial garb. I believe they have referred to it as the Coronation Artemyss, whereas this is the ready to kick some butt, battle-ready Artemyss, which is just, the name itself is a little bit more fun. It lends itself to be a little bit more playable, and you can pose her around a lot easier than that more cumbersome Coronation version. So I think I would probably recommend her over that one, but ultimately it comes down to personal preference. If you like the first one, then give this one a pass. If you missed out on it like I did, or just weren't really interested in it at the time, then this is the one to get. I think this one's a little bit more fun, but that's just me. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you're so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions, as well as the Mythic Legions Cabal over on Facebook. Be a part of the Mythic Legions community. As I always say, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is, especially when your antlers are so heavy it causes your head to fall off. I mean, that's just a bad day, dude. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.